he's just a fine young man.
December 18th, 2016. You're looking at images of our sun, and one of the larger coronal holes that you will see is turning Earth facing. Now, it was just December 8th that we had the same thing happen. A couple of differences, and I'll point those out. But what you're seeing in the dark blue and purple is a clear day with on the sun. Basically, there's no magnetic canopy. Now, look back on December 8th. You notice the difference? Today, we've got the top pole of the sun, or the north pole of the sun, that has the coronal hole. And on December 8th, when we had that 8.0 earthquake, it was coronal hole occupied the middle of the sun, just like you're seeing now, but it originated from the southern pole. Now, the sun's magnetic field is not like the Earth's. It can change every 11 years. Or so is what they're saying here. It says the sun's magnetic field changes polarity approximately every year, and that corresponds to Jupiter's orbit, which many say is the sun's binary twin. Many solar systems have twin stars. They're binary systems. Now, it says this was a couple of years ago, but I want to show you something. In 1997, when they started getting the satellites up that could accurately measure this, we're looking at the sun. Purple is the negative polarity of the sun. The green is the positive. Notice the green in 1997 was on the top pole, or the north pole of the sun. We're going to go through, and the data that's available goes upward to 2013, and that's just when the poles had started to change. Now, the one pole changed, but the other one didn't complete the change until 2014. Notice your timestamp, bottom left. Now, look at this. Look how it's changing. It's not up and down anymore. At this point, it's left and right. You almost have horizontal poles. But again, that's, I think, due to not having the solid core. But I think during the solar minimums, what it looks like, guys, and this could be an extreme solar minimum, we're seeing it from the weather, that the sun could be more and more affected by outside influences. Gamma radiation. Gamma ray burst, this hot cloud of gas that we started passing into a few years ago, that's letting antiprotons penetrate all the way into the atmosphere of our planet. Again, timestamp 2008. Check this out. Negative on the top, 2009, strong, very, very well defined on both poles at that point. 2011, coming into 2012. In 2013, the poles flipped just on the south pole of the sun. 2014, the north pole of the sun finally wrapped around there and stabilized. Now, we're starting to see, because of this extreme solar minimum and outside influence, a quickening of the magnetic pole reversals. I'm not sure. One thing I do know that is with our weak Earth shields, the magnetosphere, this solar string coming in, guys, is going to be strong. In December 8th, 8.0, Solomon Islands. This was a video I did then, and we were looking at that image of the coronal hole back on December 8th. This one could be as strong, if not stronger. And we saw the effects of this solar wind stream. It jumped from about the 300 kilometers per second to 750 and peaked at around 800 kilometers per second. Guys, and when you're dealing with that, you're at 1.5 million miles an hour plus. That's extreme solar wind. Now, as we look at the timestamp, and you can go to Space Weather and back up the time. I went back in this video, which is December the 8th to December 15th, and we just had a small coronal hole, not the one that was very large on the 8th. But Space Weather noted there was a small one on the right. And it surprised me that we got the big quakes, because look at the size of the hole. This is Space Weather, and they were marking out the hole. It's coming, and now that particular coronal hole has moved around the sun. It's not affecting us now, but it's saying that that solar wind stream is heading for Earth. Could spark a new round of Arctic lights on December 16th. As it went in through the 16th and 17th, we got another round of large quakes. Guys, we're talking about yesterday, okay? Think about it. And they were just talking about a coronal hole this size. Normally, I would not pay attention to one that size, because the shields of the planet have been stronger. But not now. We've seen them affected a couple of different ways. But now they're talking about from December 20th to the 25th, this wave that you're looking at, a solar stream of solar energy coming from the solar wind, is going to start affecting our planet. Now, yesterday there was a small peak on the ACE satellites in the solar wind speed and the solar wind temperature, and we got those strong quakes again. Now that solar wind stream has died off because it's going to be about from 18 to 24 hours before we feel this impact. And if you remember, the solar wind does not come out in an exact straight path. If you watch the CME trackers, you see this long, winding, back-flowing energy because the sun's spinning, the earth's spinning around it. The sun's actually moving forward at 65,000 miles per hour. Now imagine what everything else is doing to rotate around the sun. So there's a lot going on that people don't understand, and we're all doing the best we can to figure it out. But again, they said this was shown on December 4th, 16th through the 17th. The big quakes came in. The reason I'm emphasizing it is because it looks like with the solar minimum, the Earth's shields are weak. As the sun slows down, the dynamo called this planet and spins, and it slows down. Your Arctic vortex spreads out, and your shields are weakened. That's the point of the video, and that's what we're seeing now. And are we going to continue? And this is a big concern for me. It's a 27-day rotation. Say if you see a sunspot on the Earth, a sunspot on the sun, dead in the center of the equator on the sun, about 27 days or so, you can see it again in about the same location. Now, it's different for the equator and the poles of the sun as far as rotation time. But we're seeing this 8 and 9 days apart. This was not the same coronal hole. That one closed, and that particular area of the sun is on the backside as we look at these quakes. But everything is moving to this side of the sun right now. You got Venus, Mercury, Earth. You've got Comet Honda moving around this side, and it makes you wonder with the weak solar stream, as far as the normal stream, except for these coronal holes, and the weak shields of our planet, how much will we be affected throughout these next few months? It's going to be interesting to see, and it's going to be interesting to see how long this solar minimum lasts, because when the sun is powerful and you've got plenty of solar stream, not these bursts that we're seeing now, but something that keeps it strong, then our shields are up. Our shields are down. Back in October, we saw a solar stream reversal. Really, that's an incorrect term because it wasn't the solar stream. We saw the winds that move through the solar system reverse and go to the sun. Now, that's something to think about. And the reason I say that, remember, we're spinning around the sun. The sun's moving through the Milky Way, basically, one tail of it at 65,000 miles an hour. So when we catch the second wave, if we see it December 26th, it may not come from the same direction because we're the ones changing our location. In other words, if you're spinning and there's a beam or a light or a beam of energy coming from one direction and it comes from behind you in October, then as we rotate, it won't come from behind us. It will come a little more from the left because we're rotating right to left in our rotation around the sun. Our magnetopause should still pick it up. We'll be able to tell. Now, we had powerful quakes when this last one hit in October. So we're watching it. Guys, there's a lot of things coming down upon this planet. We've got this extreme weather. I call it a mini ice age that's approaching us. I've been saying it for a long time. We've got this information. It seems like the sun is opening up with these coronal holes. Could that be because of the weakening of the going into solar minimum and you have less magnetic canopy? And can we go, because we're going into a grand cycle of a solar minimum, will those coronal holes increase in size and frequency? We're going to have to wait and see. Now, pay attention tonight to your ACE satellite, your solar wind speed. That link is on our website at bpearthwatch.com. You're going to see that it's dropped off after the warning we got from that small coronal hole that was moving to the right, away from Earth facing. That small bump was strong enough again to give it these quakes on the 17th. So with this new one, pay very close attention to it. Again, watch the ACE satellite. It'll give you the solar wind speed, also space weather in the top left corner. It will show you that. It's a heads up. Be safe.